G'day, my name is Mrs. Delgado and I am not a teacher, but I did get some requests to teach a math class, the same one that I did with my daughter who is in 3rd grade. So if you're in 3rd or 4th grade and you're interested in math, this is for you. Today, what you're going to need is paper, pen, and a measuring tape. If you don't have those, go and grab them now. I'll give you a few minutes. Paper, pen, and a measuring tape. Are you back? Are you back yet? Are you back? Oh, they're here. Okay. Let class begin. Have you ever heard of a tiny home? Hands in the air if you've heard of a tiny home. Some of you have. Don't worry, if you haven't, a tiny home is basically a tiny home. Let me draw it for you. Have you ever seen a trailer at the back of a car? I'm going to draw my nice little car here. Have you ever seen it tow something that looks a little bit like this? A trailer. Basically, a tiny home is a home built on a trailer. Let's do that. Look at this beautiful home here. Lovely. Put a door, got to get it in there somewhere, and a window. This is our tiny home. Today's math class is going to look at how much bigger is a tiny home than your bedroom. We're going to use area. We're also going to be converting inches to feet. If you haven't done that before, don't worry, we'll walk you through it. But if you have, and you can go ahead of me, you already know the answer, go ahead and write it down. So with your pen and paper today, all I want you to do is write exactly what I'm putting on the board. And as I said, if you know the answer before I get to it, go ahead and write it down. So first of all, let's look at the size of the trailer. Trailers come in lots of different sizes, but for today's example, we're going to buy an 18-foot trailer. It's 18 feet long, and for today's example, we're going to say that it's 8 feet wide. Okay? Now, when we're looking at the area of the tiny home compared to the area of your bedroom, we want to kind of take a bird's eye view, right? So if we were looking down right now on this tiny home, it would look like a rectangle. This just makes it easier for our calculations. So it's still 18 feet by 8. 18 feet long, 8 feet wide. The other thing that's really cool about a tiny home is that most of them have lofts. Do any of you have a loft bed in your bedroom? A few of you do, right? Super cool. Most tiny homes have lofts. Not only do we need to look at the area of the base, most of them have another little loft right up here. We'll put a ladder there so we can get up there. For today's example, the loft is going to be 8 feet by 8 feet. So we have a square and a rectangle. We want to know what the area is. How do you find the area of a rectangle or a square? You're right. Area is the length times the width. Area is the length times the width. Let's start with 18 by 8. Change my color here. Length times width. So 18 times 8. 18 is kind of a big number. Let's use our number bonds and break that down. We've got 18. What makes up 18? 10, that's an easy number to work with. And 8. Now this is going to be much simpler. We can do 10 times 8, 10 times 8, and 8 times 8, 8 times 8, and add those to get our area. What is 10 times 8? 8 times 1 is 8, add the 0. 8 times 8 is, you're right, 64. Let's add these together. 0 and 4 is 4. 6 and 8 is 14. 144. We were measuring this in feet, 18 feet by 8 feet, 144 square feet. Now remember, we were just looking at the base, 18 times 8, and we used our number bonds to work out what the square footage is of the base. We want to also look at what is the area of the loft. Let me write this down just to make sure it's clear. So the base, which is what we worked out here, okay, this is the square footage of the base. Let's look at the loft. Again, let's go to how do we find out the area? We do length times width. So this one is easy, 8 times 8. And we already did that, didn't we? 8 times 8. So for the loft, hope you guys can see that, we're doing length times width, 8 times 8. And 8 times 8 equals 64. It's 64 square feet. We're measuring in feet. So how do we find out the total square footage of the tiny home? Well, we need to add the base and the loft. What have we got? 144 is the square footage of the base plus 64 the square footage of the loft. This will help us find out what the total square footage is. Let's do this together. 4 plus 4 is 8, 6 and 4 is 10, and we carry the 1. 208. Let's write that in a sentence. The total, the total area of the tiny home is 208 square feet. Sorry, my writing is terrible. I told you I am not a teacher. So if the tiny home is 208 square feet, how much bigger is it than your bedroom? Here comes the fun part. Get out your measuring tapes. Now let's have a look. If you've never used a measuring tape before, I don't know how close we have to get to see that. Can you see all the different numbers along here? What you want to do is go and measure from wall to wall. You're going to want to find out what is the length and what is the width of your bedroom. When you're looking at a measuring tape, you want to look at the biggest numbers along here. Let's say this was the length of your room. That would be terrible because you would be sleeping in like a shoebox. So that wouldn't happen. But if it was, what number am I looking at? Ignore the red 5 and look at the black 29. Okay, so you need to go to your bedroom now. Do the best you can with the length and the width. Okay, and we're looking at it in inches. If your room's kind of a funny shape, don't worry about it. Just try and make it as close to a rectangle or a square as you can. Go for it, you can do this. How did that go? A lot of fun, right? You know what, if you couldn't work it out, don't even worry about it. We're going to use the measurements from my daughter's room to work through it together. Make sure if you want to do this again on your own, you can follow the same formula that I am, but plug in the numbers for your bedroom. So let's have a look. We want to find out the area of the bedroom. We measured in inches, so this is going to be tricky. First of all, we're going to have to work out convert inches into feet, but we're going to do that together. My daughter's room was 172 inches long and 122 inches wide. How many inches are there in 1 foot? Do you know? That's right, 12. 12 inches equals 1 foot. So how are we going to work this out? In 1 foot, we have 12 inches. So if we had 2 feet, we'd have, yes, 24 inches. If we had 3 feet, it would be 36 inches. What's this starting to look like? A tape diagram, right? Let's go ahead and do that together. We're Okay, so we're looking at multiples of 12. 12, 24, 36, 48. Write them down with me. 60. Say it out loud if you know it. 72. Yep. 84. Right? 96. 108. Whoop. 120. I'm going to run out of space, aren't I? Oh, man. I am going to run out of space. Don't worry, we'll fit it in. It won't be to scale, but it'll work. 132. 144. Yes, I'm cheating because of the pressure. 156. 168. That's getting real close to 172. 168. And how many left over? And another 4 right here. I'm just going to do a little circle there like that. Okay. So, in 172 inches, how many feet have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 4 left over. We're going to call it approximately 14 feet. Let's do that with 122 inches. How do we convert 122 inches into feet? So remember, for every foot there are 12 inches. We're using our tape diagram using multiples of 12. We want to look at 122. Where is, okay, there's 120 right here. And there'll be 2 left over. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 2 left over. 122 inches equals approximately, we're not going to worry about that too, 10 feet. This is going to be much easier to work out the area now and compare it with our tiny home area since we're using feet for both measurements. Now, it looks like this. The length, it's approximately 14 feet, and the width is 10 feet. We're going to use our number bonds again to calculate the area. How do we calculate the area of a rectangle? That's right, it's length times width. That's 14 times 10. 14 is a pretty big number. Let's break that down. 10 and 4. Now we can do 10 times 10 and 4 times 10. What's that going to equal? Add those. 140. 140 square feet. Our answer is 140 square feet. That's the area of her bedroom. Let's think about that. The area of the bedroom compared to the entire area of the tiny home. Well, the bedroom could fit in the tiny home. So, let's look at the square footage, the area of the tiny home, 208, minus, if we took the area of the bedroom and took it over here, that would tell us what's left over, what's extra, how much bigger the tiny home is. So 208 minus the square footage of the bedroom. 8 take 0 is 8. 20 take 14 is 6. 64, we're working in square feet. Square feet. Let's make sure we answer that in a sentence. The tiny home is 68 square feet bigger than my bedroom. And you know what that means? That means you can fit a fridge in there. That means you could fit your bike in there. That means if you want your own toilet, you can put it in your tiny home because you've got an extra 68 square feet, girlfriend. That's going to be sweet to fit all of your stuff. Now, I don't want to overpromise. There may be more classes coming, but everyone, of course, is just taking every day as it comes right now. So you kiddos, hang in there. You can do this.